Hey everybody, this is Mike, and I'm going to show you how to do pitcher selection in RotoQL. So starting with the Insights tab, and this is our player recommender, and it's going to show you a lot of the main elements that you're going to want in looking for pitching options on the slate. And knowing that this is a 14-game slate, there's going to be a lot of different pitchers that are available. To sift through that group, your Insights helps you simplifies the process and it'll give you the top options of that group. So this can be really easy to build lineups quickly. So in looking at this group, we have Steven Strasburg, that is far and away the top scorer. And a lot of this is based on these elements here, but this Strasburg score is predicated a lot on opposing team strikeouts, where the Mets are giving up, and the Mets are striking out almost 10 times per game in their last 10 games. So Strasburg, being a high strikeout pitcher, is likely to take advantage of that. And on DraftKings, with the team win not being as large of a factor in point totals, things like strikeouts and hits allowed and innings pitched become more paramount. So that's why Strasburg ranks so high. In looking at some of the other higher priced options, you can see Chris Tillman, Chris Sale, Jeff Samardzija, Justin Verlander, all these guys a little bit further down in the pack, not as a high score. It'd be a little surprised to see Chris Tillman and Justin Verlander at those price points. And I think a lot of that has to do with their matchups. You can see Chris Tillman going up against the Astros. They average 10 strikeouts per game. So I guess the matchup is skewing that price up a bit higher. And same thing with Verlander and the Phillies. Verlander being a solid strikeout pitcher, and the Phillies can have weak hitting performances from time to time. So a lot of these prices predicated on the matchup. I'm not so sure if you're going to have contests with high ownership from Verlander and Tillman as much as some of these other pitchers. I can definitely see Strasburg, Chris Sale, who's been on a tear, and Samardzija, perhaps David Price as well, even at that lower price point. So things to keep in mind when looking at Insights. And for DraftKings, like I said, the team win not as important, but for FanDuel, this is something that is the majority of the point total. So in making your pitcher selections, looking at there's a few pitchers with over 60% projected team win today, and I would probably stay close to those selections, or something like Strasburg's at 59.9. You can include them in that group. Those are the pitchers I would stick to for FanDuel. So Strasburg, just Chris Sale, Samardzija, David Price, Liriano. These guys would be good for FanDuel. And so that's how Insights can sort of frame how you're going to choose your pitchers. But if you wanted to drill down a little bit more into pitcher options, we can do that within the other tabs in RotoQL. So I'm going to go ahead and favorite a few of these pitchers just so we have them as a reference when going around the rest of the site. Now heading into the Games tab, and this can give you a better reference about each situation a pitcher is in. And so I think this can help a lot if you have a little more time to look into the individual matchup and see how advantageous can a matchup be. So looking at Liriano versus the Diamondbacks, you can see that we got the wind blowing out to left field at 6 miles an hour, which may give a little bit more pop. I would definitely, this definitely brings a little cause for concern, because Liriano, as a lefty, going to be pitching to right-handers on the opposite side with the wind blowing out to left field. That is going to favor righty hitters. So this scares me a little bit. I think if I were in a cash game, I would probably stay away from Liriano at this point, even with that money line. But that is conventional thinking. if you're thinking from a contrarian point of view, maybe that'll scare some people off of Liriano and make him more of a tournament play. But I'm going to remove him because he's a little bit too risky for me at this stage. You can see Strasburg, the win going out on the for left-handers, so this is also could be a little bit of a concern, but Strasburg being a strikeout pitcher and not really having high fly ball rates, I'm okay with keeping him in as well. So using the games tab, you can get a better sense of the matchups and Vegas data as well. So this Indians-White Sox game, I've seen previous games in this series be higher over-under, but with these two solid pitchers, in Sale's case, exceptional pitchers playing, that over-under is down to 7, which is good to take note of. The Indians only projected runs at 3.1, which indicates that Sale's going to have a pretty good game. The wind blowing in, all of these factors are making me like that Sale pick a little more, and going up against an Indian team that does actually hit the ball pretty well, or at least as of recently has hit well. That may lower his ownership a bit. Could be a decent tournament option even at that price point. So this can kind of give a better sense of the matchups. And I also wanted to hop into the players tab to just, if you have a lot of time to do research, this is the best way to get your own unique picks for your lineups. So when I come into this tab, I immediately sort by opposing projected runs, so I can get a sense of which pitchers are favored by Vegas to have a great game, not give up many runs, and does that connect with the price point that they're at. So you can see that Samardzija, Stale, and Strasburg, all three of the high-priced guys that we favored earlier, all are projected by Vegas to only give up 3.3 runs or less. Now, it is surprising to see. I did take out Liriano from the pool, but he's only slated to give up 3.46 runs, and that price point at 8,500 is interesting. It's pretty inexpensive relative to the rest of the group. Yeah, he's not even within the top 10 pitchers on the slate, so that is making me think that he is going to be a higher owned player. And I know that the thinking can change, but Vegas is a really good indicator where the public may go. So that would probably Liriano would probably be a good cash game play, knowing that a lot of people are going to like that Vegas to salary ratio. So in doing that, we can also filter out pitchers if you're trying to find a group of players based on metrics that you like or consistently like. So we can filter out by projected runs, say that we only want pitchers that are favored to give up 4 runs or less. And if you were going to be in a tournament, perhaps you want to filter out by ceiling, making sure that you have pitchers that can get at least a 40-point total or less. So from there, you've already got this group of 5 pitchers that we've been looking at all night. So I think it's safe to say that this is definitely the core group of pitchers you want to start from. If you're doing multiple lineups, you can go with this group of 5 and kind of mix and match between them. And you can keep filtering out more since we're doing since we're filtering out for tournaments in this example. Perhaps we want to make sure that we have pitchers that are going to pitch at least on average 6 innings or more. And Liriano, he tops out at close to 6 innings, but in effect, we'll just have pitchers that we know are going to go at least 6, which can be very important for DraftKings. So that's how you can do pitcher research. And heading back into the optimizer, we can see that we've got some of these pitchers showing up. We have the player's bonus at 2 points, so if we were to change this to a max total, it'll favor our selections a lot more than the projections, and in doing that, we'll have a lot of these pitchers that we favored showing up in lineups. So that's how you get started with pitcher selection. definitely check out more of our RotoQL University videos to get a sense of how to look at pitchers, but this is how you do it for a large slate.